Spooky Halloween, Galen.
Spooky Halloween, Oni.
We're recording this on Halloween, and it's going to come out kind of the night of Halloween or the morning of whatever, I don't know, the next day. What are you doing tonight, Galen? What's going on?
No. I've got some candy in a bowl, gonna be throwing it just at passing children. You have to keep that social distancing. So I'm actually thinking of building a candy cannon and shooting kids with it.
I like where your head's at. Now, what kind of candy will you be filling this with? Is it soft candy, hard candy?
It's actually going to be dependent on the kids' costumes. If it's original and it's, funny, yeah, okay, I'll give you some, Hershey's and some softer candies. If you show up in, like, a bedsheet ghost costume, you're getting nothing but Worthington shoes.
Oh, I like Worthington shoes.
Yeah, but you don't like them being shot at your face at about 40 miles an hour.
I don't know. The corner of a Hershey bar, let me tell you. Some children have lost their reproductive ability because... Why did I say that?
What?
Hello, my stall kids and stallfos. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything podcast, the Spookcast, episode 103. Is that what we're on?
It is the spookiest number, yeah.
It is, yeah. I mean, you got the 1, you got the boo, and you got the 3. I am Oni Dino. With me, I have a Sheikah Slate who won't wake up. No energy inside that thing. It doesn't do a lick of good. It's Galen.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Come on, no Sheikah Slates?
Well, I would come up with a better response, but I don't have any energy to, so.
Relatable. Friends, we're a weekly show. Episodes go live every Sunday. We're on all the podcast platforms. Please do leave us a rating or a like or a subscribe, whatever the hell it is on your listening platform of choice. The best way to support us is through a what, Galen?
Through our iTunes reviews.
Yes, a 5-star iTunes review.
5-star lie.
Boy. You're slipping behind here.
I love that joke. What?
No, I mean, there's just so many problems with you. Oh boy. Friends, this episode, I am super busy this weekend. I have some work to catch up on. I am going to be editing this show, just FYI, very, very little. As in, I'm not even going to be putting in the sounds. Usually I put in sounds to transition between stuff, and I'm just not doing it this weekend. So next weekend I will, yada, yada, yada. I'm sorry, every single episode too, I'm like, oh, I'm busy. Like, that is tiring to hear. But I just need to be, I don't know, honest with our listeners? I don't know.
You want me to start doing the sound effects? Not like putting them in, but actually making the sound effects.
Listen, I don't want to hear any more sounds out of your mouth. Okay, actually, let's do that. Let's go into the adventure log to see what we've been playing this week. Galen, hit us!
Let's go.
No, that's not the sound! What is the adventure log sound?
I don't know. I don't listen to this.
You can find Galen being an absolute bitch on Twitter. Where, Galen?
Spicy this episode. You can find me on Twitter not being spicy at Mobius087. Oni.
And I'm cooking up some spice.
You're the
some
spiciest
sass.
pepper.
Yes. At my Twitter, at Oni_Dino. We also have the lovely Discord, the Nintendo Everything Podcast Discord. Come and join us there. A link is in the description, or you can go to your web browser and type in tiny.cc/Nintendo Everything Pod, and it'll take you right to the Discord.
There you go.
What are we talking about? So, Galen, it's Halloween in Animal Crossing Town.
It is indeed. I'm actually really excited to jump onto it a little bit later today. A lot of the activities are going on tonight. I think it starts at about 5 o'clock, but it's really cool because when these Halloween events do start, like everybody's already in costume hats. Isabel's wearing this matching orange cardigan with an orange witch hat that it's adorable. It's so cute.
So are all of the characters in Halloween gear?
They are going to be, yes.
Okay.
A lot of the staples, the people that you would go and visit in the shops, Tom Nook is wearing devil horns, things like that. Your residents on there aren't in costume just yet, but they are going to be soon. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's super. I've been collecting candy all week, or all month, actually. I think I have over 35, 36 pieces, which was hard to do. So
it's a hard candy to do.
Yeah. Well, and you can
Charleston
only buy
shoe to do.
Not the Worthington answer I've heard, but okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, you can only buy one piece of candy a day. But if you go to somebody else's island, you can actually acquire another piece. But candy is also used in recipes, so it's like this fine line that you have to kind of skid across in order to make sure you have enough to give out to everybody the day
Okay,
of.
that's what I was going to ask is what's the significance of candy in the event?
Well, I have not gone through the Halloween event myself, but from what I understand, you give candy to your residents and they give you special Halloween items in return. There's also going to be Jack, who is the pumpkin NPC.
He's very loosely tied to Jack Bros from Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah. And if you don't give him a piece of candy or you don't have one to give when you talk to him, he'll play a trick on you of some type, like replacing your items or something. I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen here, but I am excited to find out, and I will tell all of you guys next week.
Oh, we can't wait.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, more Animal Crossing. Knowing my luck, we're probably going to have an Animal Crossing announcement talking about what's happening in November and December this week.
Oh, surely. I mean, they celebrate, like, the holidays, right? So they'll definitely do something for the Xmas.
Well, and also for Thanksgiving, because they've implemented the whole farming mechanic in there, too, with being able to grow food. And
do they do regional holidays, though?
They do. So,
interesting. So then when, like, Thanksgiving is happening in America, then what do they do for the other regions?
I think it's still the same thing, because they keep
do they just call it like a harvest holiday or something?
Yeah,
like that?
they call it like Harvest Festival or something like that. But yeah, they've already alluded to it with the characters that they were showcasing in there at the end of the last Direct.
Okay.
So, yeah. No, we know there's going to be a Thanksgiving event. We know there's going to be a Christmas event.
Yeah.
Little bit of Galen prediction going on here.
That's not prediction. You just said what we already knew.
No. We're assuming. I say my prediction of we're going to be getting some sort of an announcement this week.
Okay, well, since you just made an ass of you, but not me, why don't you also tell me about some other ass you've been playing? Baldur's Gate 3. I just did a rhyme.
Yeah. Way to go.
That was booty claps.
Booty clapping all the days. Yeah, I won't go too much into this one. I've just been playing more Baldur's Gate 3. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying the separations between it being a tabletop RPG and an actual video game itself. Like, there are some benefits that being a video game really does bring to the table. I mentioned before, being able to do all those hard calculations and really speeding up the speeding up the battles a lot. It's just, it makes it so much enjoyable, so much more engaging. But there's also video game logic that's kind of going into it.
I love video game logic.
Yeah, it does the Skyrim thing and just video game thing in general of, oh, I'm injured and at like 1 HP left, I'm going to eat all of the apples.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah. Hold on, let me go to the pause screen and eat 55 wheels of cheese.
Basically, yeah. That is not a thing that you can do in actual Dungeons and Dragons. So.
Oh, in real life in Dungeons and Dragons, right?
In real life Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but just overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really getting into everything. I'm enjoying being able to explore this world that they have been creating. I've run into one or two like early access problems, but nothing that a quick like reload to my last quick save wasn't able to fix. So.
Okay, that's good. What kind of stuff are you getting? People like spawning with like legs for a head instead?
Well, there's none of those just yet.
Damn.
Although I have seen a lot of those on other people's playthroughs, and I think that might have something to do with like if you have better hardware in your PC, you're going to encounter less of those kind of graphical issues.
Oh.
No, it's more of like a planning type thing that they are going to be putting in. There's a spell in the game called Speak with Dead, and it does just that. You can go up to a corpse, talk to them, and you can ask them 5 different questions, and they'll be able to respond back.
I like it. Spook them fuckboys.
Yeah, it's really fun because you can walk in and just assassinate an entire cave full of goblins and being like, okay, everybody's dead. Now I'm going to stop and ask my questions. I did that exact same scenario, and I wiped out an entire cave of goblins, went up and talked to the main leader who was trying to interrogate this druid. Sorry, my dog's going off in the background.
At the druids.
My dog is not a fan of druids.
He wants to shake the sticks. He wants to bury him.
And the druid's like, no, I've got this, this stick is sacred. And my dog's just like, no, that stick needs to be mine.
My body is literally sticks.
But I talked to the body and it didn't have any like response. It came back with a general, the corpse is silent kind of like blasé message. But I know the spell works because I've been able to do it on other things. So
okay.
That just leads me to believe that they might not have programmed in that particular dialogue tree just yet. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. Something that I will definitely be revisiting when the full version of the game does come out. So,
in 2029.
You know what? I'm still having fun with it now. So
I seriously doubt, like we talked about this last episode, but I doubt that, people are going to go back to this game when they've already experienced it. And you know what I mean?
Actually, there was a conversation about this on our Discord, and I think it was our mod, Ollie, who was mentioning that it's very similar to like doing subscribing to a Kickstarter in some sense. And part of that Kickstarter goal is the promise of early access when it comes out. Personally, I've always thought of it like putting down the $60 for this game, it's no different than doing a pre-order for a game. There's still that possibility that the game might not be coming out, but at least now I'm starting to get an experience with it. So
I don't like that argument at all. I don't like that argument at all.
Well, we got a lot to talk about on today's episode, so maybe we can bring this up a little bit later.
Yes.
If you lovely listeners would like to chime in with your own opinions, feel free to send us an email at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Or go over to our Discord. Link in the description.
Discord works well. We've also been playing another game, but I believe you have also been playing this game.
We have.
And this might be the first time that we've actually played the same game to talk about this week.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a Galen problem, Galen.
That sounds like an Oni problem, Oni.
Galen, all you play is Animal Crossing and Destiny and now Baldur's Gate 3. That's it.
And all you play are Pretty Boy JRPG games.
What?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Listen, I will not lie that that's an ingredient in my pumpkin pie, okay? I'm full of rhymes this episode. But
very whimsical.
I play so many different kinds of games, and I'm like, are you going to play this? And you're like, I might rent it at the weed shop. I might rent it, or whatever the hell you say. I don't know.
Because it's 2020 and the concept of renting something is purely fictional.
Any freaking who, okay? The Hyrule Warriors demo came out this week, and though the gods were against us, we both played this demo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Hyrule Warriors AOC, Hyrule Warriors Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as Age of Calamity. I threw myself off with that. I think we need to break this down into a couple of sections to sort of talk about this. So, demo came out. It's a very long demo. There's lots and lots of content in there. So first
I've been hearing about that, yeah.
Right off the bat, anybody should give this a download because it's free and try it out and stick with it for a little bit and see how you like it.
Yeah, it also has cross-save compatibility too, so any progress you make in the demo is also going to be pushed forward to the main version of the game.
Yeah, so let's talk about like the story, the menu, and the progression system for this game.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a prequel to Breath of the Wild. It is recounting the events of the Great War, or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. What are you laughing at?
No, it's weird that you say prequel because I'm not so sure anymore. I think there is some certain shenanigans that are going on here.
That's true, yeah. When it, like, the opening... Okay, so the very opening, right, is your little... What is his name?
Spoiler alert for the demo, I
guess.
No,
it's the opening. It doesn't matter. It's the opening.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I don't think he got a name. It's just like this Guardian or just this small Guardian. He's a little R2-D2 wannabe guy.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Guard2-D2. That's it.
Guard2-D2. Okay.
Yeah. He wakes up in present time and then goes back in time. So there are portals in this game.
Well, and it's not exactly in present time. Like, so the cutscene is showing off that moment where Zelda is accepting her Hyrulean goddess gift. I don't remember what they actually called it in the thing, and using her ability to save Link. It's one of the big memories in Breath of the Wild. At that moment, cut back to the assault on the Hyrulean castle, and this box falls over, and that's where Guard2-D2 pops out of. And there is this one of the Spider Guardian guys is like trying to smash his way into Zelda's room to get at him.
Yeah.
The Guardian opens up a portal and starts to travel through time. So we've got some Terminator shenanigans going on here.
Oh god,
Exactly.
I'm wondering if it's going to be like a time anomaly where
I think it is.
It's like it was never created. It just kept going back and forth through this time loop or something like that. I don't know. It'd be stupid. It'd be really stupid. But we'll see when the full game comes out. So anyway, that's what happens. That's what starts off things. He goes back into time a little bit. I don't know why I would go back in time such a little bit, but then he's on the battlefield with Link. The forces, Ganon's forces, are starting to storm the, not castle grounds, but like the perimeter of the castle.
Yeah.
Not the perimeter, the outside fields. And then you play on that battlefield, you get some stasis powers, and yada yada yada. But, so this game offers multiple difficulty modes. It's not just like normal and hard, normal, hard, easy. It's got very easy and it also has very hard, doesn't it? So there's like 5 or 6 different levels of difficulty, which I was so happy about. I am playing on very hard mode. I started off on hard just because I was like, let me get used to the controls. And then I was like, you know what? I want a little more challenge after I played mission number 1. So I've only played 2 missions and a couple side missions.
Yeah. I decided to, since I'm not a real gamer, I decided just to play on a normal because I want to see what the game's definition of a normal difficulty is. Yeah, absolutely. That's very fair because that's usually my logic as well. I just, since I played Hyrule Warriors before and I kind of know what Warriors titles are like, I want more of a challenge because they can be easy. So I'm really enjoying it on very hard mode. Enemies have lots of HP. You really have to guard. And it's great. It's harder than regular Hyrule Warriors. Let's see. The overworld. So you're on. You have the map of Breath of the Wild, and you just kind of go from icon to icon, and it's not like in an order or in a row or anything. There's just like recommended levels or whatever. Certain things get unlocked in a chronological order. There's side missions in addition to the main missions. There's also
like little quests. So like we saw before in the, what's that called? Treehouse Live.
Yeah.
The one quest about Link bringing a bunch of whatever material this little kid needed because he wanted to build a dummy to practice sword fighting on. When Link did that, then that unlocked a new sword attack for Link in his combos because he practiced with the kid and he learned a new sword combo. So there's a logic there, and I love little touches like that.
Nice.
And all of the little side quests are kind of like that. Like if you collect all of this stuff, then the people will be at ease and they'll support Link, and then that's why Link gets a new heart. The merchants open up, all that junk. Now, Galen, you've only played the first level, right? You didn't get to the overworld?
Yeah, I downloaded it a little bit late, so I was able to get through that first major battle that you get into. I have to say, the controls were a little weird to me.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah, for starters, this is going to sound really, really weird. I'm surprised there's not a jump button. I kind of expected there to be one.
Yeah, in all of the different kinds of Warriors games, Warriors spin-offs and stuff, depending on the game, there will be a jump button. It just depends on if how the battles and levels are being designed. And for this one, yeah.
And there definitely is an element of verticality that goes along with it.
So much.
Yeah, as soon as you unlock that ability to throw down the cryo, whatever stasis, whatever you want to call it.
Cryonis or something? The ice
Cryonis,
yeah.
You're able to jump up onto this ice platform, but at the same time, it gives you the prompt to be able to use the paraglider, so you can actually move around with that verticality aspect, and there are completely different movesets to be able to use when you're in there, which I like. I like that complexity. I'm just really surprised because one of the big things on Breath of the Wild is, hey, Link can jump.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
I mean, there's like contextual jumping in this. So you go up to a wall and you press X twice, you'll do a wall jump. You'll vault off of the wall, jumping into midair. And then from midair, you can do your regular attacks, which are totally new and totally different than your ground attacks, or your strong attacks. And you can also paraglide around, too. So there's contextual jumping. But I think really the big point that we're trying to make here is that there are lots of attacks to do, lots of variation.
Yes, and personally, I'm still trying to figure out how to access all of that variation. Like, Link on his shield is probably one of my favorite moves, but I can only get it to work like maybe a quarter of the time.
Okay, so here's the thing. You should look at your combos.
Okay.
Because each character, and so far there's only been 3 characters that I've played as. Link, Impa, Zelda. Each character plays so differently, and their combos are different. The combos are very basic, where it's like YX, YYX, that kind of thing. And characters will be slightly different. Link is unique in that you can press YX, but when you hold down X, his combo will go from sword slash to like a rising sword slash, and he'll jump in the air. And if you're holding on to X, he'll fall back down, but then he'll like charge up his sword and his sword will glow. And then you let go of X, and then he'll do a totally new attack. And I think that he like does like a shield bash, and the shield surfing thing that you're trying to do is YYX. So I know what you mean though, because the combos in this game, and we'll get into this like comparison later, just because I've played so much of Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
The first one, it feels very different. It feels, I don't know, fluid is not the right word, but sloppy is also not the right word. It feels like less defined. Like Hyrule Warriors was so very much like almost like a math equation of like when you would do attacks, when the combo would come in for your strong attack, all that stuff.
It sounds
I feel you.
Yeah, it sounds very reminiscent to how fighting games actually work.
Okay.
calling dogs on that one, or
Possibly. How did
Very
your dog's
high-pitched.
ears perk up?
I'm sure he did in the other room.
Okay. Very basic fighting games, maybe. But anyway, in addition to just like regular attacks and strong attacks, you also have a special, which is when you charge up your special meter, and then you can unleash that attack. That is only so far, from what I can tell, built up by you attacking enemies. You don't pick up like little drops throughout the environment or anything like that. There aren't hearts that you pick up throughout the environment, which is just like Breath of the Wild. You pick up apples, and you have like a little, I don't know, like retainer or, you know, meter of like excess apples, and you can only carry so much. And then you use that when you need to heal yourself. And it's so interesting because it's so very different from the very first Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
But each character also has a unique attack with the ZR button. So, like, Galen, do you remember that with Link?
Yes. This one was the, with Link, it's the bow, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you hold on to ZR and then you aim your bow, and you can shoot stuff from afar, shoot stuff in the air. You can aim your bow in the air, leading to a lot of really cool combos.
Although it really throws me off because it does the whole gyro control thing, and it doesn't tell you it's gyro control at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is going on?
You can turn it off, and it's also very subtle. It's not as, like, I don't know, intense as the gyro was in Breath of the Wild, in my opinion. And also, you aim with the left stick, you don't aim with the right stick.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's another thing. Like,
that's very weird.
The controls are they're fine, but they're so weird when the game either looks very much like Hyrule Warriors or Breath of the Wild, but it controls very much on its own. It doesn't control like either of those two games.
Yeah.
So I'm having this like crisis, this existential crisis while playing the game. I'm wondering, because you've played much of Breath of the Wild, and I've played also Breath of the Wild, but I've been playing very much of original Hyrule Warriors. How does it feel to you as like Breath of the Wild, and then going into this?
There definitely is a speed that goes along with everything. I feel like with Breath of the Wild, it is a very different combat feeling between the two. Hyrule Warriors 2 really does embrace that you are just going to, you know, henshin a go, make a single attack, and thousands of enemies start to fly away.
What do you think henshin a go means, Galen?
I don't know. I just really liked Beautiful Joe, so I wanted to say it.
Fair.
Whereas in Breath of the Wild, it was very much a one-on-one, almost strategic way that you would get into your battles. And if there are more enemies, it's more beneficial for you to separate them away from each other so you can focus and bring the fight onto your terms.
Yeah.
It was funny. When I was playing the Hyrule Warriors, I just finished one of the encampments that you had to try to liberate, and then most of the enemies were dead, and there was this one random moblin who was just standing there with his club, just kind of looking at me, and I'm like, "Oh, buddy, I'm sorry."
You mean Bokoblin or Moblin?
Which is the smaller one?
Bokoblin.
Yeah, one of those guys.
You gotta get things right on the Nintendo Everything podcast, okay?
Well, hey, fake gamer.
You prove it
but
every
yeah,
week.
it was just, this game really gives you a sense of, you are completely overpowered. How far do you want to push that? As opposed to Breath of the Wild, where it's more, you need to grow to obtain those higher levels of power. And when you have those moments of feeling that just overwhelming command of the battle, it's a rewarded effort. In this game, it hands it to you at the beginning.
Yes, and especially in normal mode, because I think that is sort of the feel. That's why I like very hard, because it's a nice mixture of those two things, where like when you face the big guys where you can Z target onto them, like the Moblins or the giant Bokoblins, then you really have to, like, the enemy is almost commanding control of the flow of battle, more so than you. You do have control over the battle, but anyway, you Z target, you know, these bigger guys, and you have to either wait for them to do a big attack, leave an opening for themselves and then showing their weak point, then you break down their weak point gauge.
Yeah.
There's also you can use specific Cryonis abilities, Sheikah Slate abilities, depending on what type of enemy they are. So
bombs for days, just bombs for days.
The bomb one is really cool. So like, if your enemy is like a giant bokoblin and he has a shield, bombs are their weak point. So when he's doing a special shielding ability, then you can use your bomb Sheikah Slate, and then Link does the freaking coolest animation, right? And that's kind of the big thing with Hyrule Warriors and the Warriors titles in general is their animations, right? Link just lobs all of these bombs straight at the guy, and it's hilarious because it's just like bombs in your face, you know?
Yeah.
And then that opens up their weak point. Or you can also do the Flurry Rush, which is like doing a perfect dodge and then doing it. How have you been doing with the Flurry Rush? Have you been able to nail it?
I've been able to dodge most of the attacks that are coming at me, but triggering that perfect dodge is rough.
It's really hard, right?
Yeah.
I've been practicing with it, and I've been practicing it very hard, so once you get hit, you're like, oh shit, I just took off all of this damage of my life, so I have to be really careful. But it's extremely precise, it seems to be. And I don't know if it's on every attack, but you have to be like right up like the skin of your teeth. It's not as forgiving as Breath of the Wild. So interestingly, it is harder than Breath of the Wild in that regard.
So, out of curiosity, you said that you played as all three of the characters.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite so far?
It's hard to say because they really do play so differently. I think right now, and these are, of course, early impressions for us both.
Of course, yeah.
I think I like them all pretty equally because they're so very different. What about you?
Yeah.
You played as Impa, right?
Yeah, I played as Link and Impa. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Impa.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you because Impa plays so differently to Link that it was like, I had to play as her a couple of times to really understand her mechanics. How are you dealing with it?
I actually like the feeling of playing as her versus with Link, just because I like that sense of planning out what it is that you're doing, like being able to absorb the runes or knowing to use the runes for your attacks. And then you also get that reward where if you are able to absorb all of your runes, you just have this harem of Impas just fighting alongside you, and it's just so cool.
It's a really cool
totally
feeling.
Into this.
So every character, like we said, has their unique attack with ZR. Link's is the bow. Impa's is she puts basically like a rune on an enemy afar, and then when you sort of mark them, you aim sort of towards them and press X, and then she'll disappear and reappear right in front of their faces. And if you do XX combo, then she will absorb the rune, and then from that creates 2 Impas. And you can do that up to 3 times, therefore creating 6 Impas. And that's when you really do lots of damage. So you're trying to constantly manage keeping these things up, and they sort of dissipate after a set amount of time. So and also, did you notice that Impa's special attack, so when her meter is charged, when you have just Impa or 2 Impas, she launches like a big like spirit explosive bomb, and she like kicks it out at the enemies. If she has all of her Impa spirit clones, then they dash towards the enemy, they build up the bombs, and then they launch like a bigger explosion. So her special attack even changes depending on how many Impas you have out.
Oh, that's so cool.
There's a lot of variation to this. It's crazy.
Yeah. And personally, I think it's because I really do have a play style of not only attack, but attack in a way that is most beneficial to grow and build up your ultimate power, charging up over 9,000. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Well, it was really funny, so I'm glad you did that.
But no, that's very much my kind of play style is when I'm playing Smash Bros, I gravitate more towards Samus, because in between fighting, I can back off and charge up my attack and just know that that larger attack is there in the wings.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a similar thing when playing as Impa too. So it's just, you're right on the money when you say there's such a variation between how these characters play and what it's like to play in the game.
Yeah.
So,
and then go ahead.
I'd say if you try out the game and just playing as Link doesn't do it for you, give it a little bit more time and try out some of these other characters. Because I can almost guarantee you there's going to be something that works for you and how you want to play the game.
Plus, as you keep going further and you do those quests, like I mentioned before, you'll unlock new attacks for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that can take a character from being like either shitty or so for you to being like your favorite character, just because they learn new attacks and then there's different ways to play them. So, for example, Zelda, okay? She uses the Sheikah Slate, and she is very limited right off the bat. She has 3 main attacks when in terms of like combos. So she has a regular attack, which is just a 3-hit combo. Then she has YX, which she'll swing a big metal crate around. And then she has YYX, and that creates a huge bomb, and then she pushes it out. Her super cool thing though is her ZR, her unique action, is that she activates runes. So whatever rune it is that you happen to put out there, with that bomb that she pushes out, it just keeps rolling. And then you press ZR and that detonates it. And then if you just press X alone, she creates small mini cryosis ice pillars, and then it just stays there. And then you press ZR whenever you want and it detonates them. So she's basically setting traps, and then you can detonate them strategically. And
that's really cool.
At first I was like, okay, I think I understand her and yada yada. I unlocked one new attack and it's so cool. It suddenly turned her from being like limited to a much more viable character. She now has XX, where she creates even larger ice pillars that she sort of like stepping stone goes to. And on each stepping stone, she lets out like a shockwave, and it hits all the enemies around her. Then when she gets to the top, she's built up 3 and 4, so 7 ice pillars. Then you just press ZR, and then it detonates everything all around her, and it's like so satisfying. Sorry if that was like particularly in depth, but just the reason that I wanted to get in depth about the combat is because this is really, really so very different from Hyrule Warriors, different from Breath of the Wild, and it's surprisingly complex. I thought that they would make this a little easier, but it's actually got so much depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't even talk about like how the stasis powers, or not stasis, sorry, the Sheikah Slate powers. Each character uses those totally differently. So, Link's bombs, he just does like a barrage of bomb combos. Impa, God, what does she do with her bomb powers? Oh, I can't remember how she uses her bomb powers. Do you? It's okay. But
I know she has a bomb. I know she has. I think she has a cryosis.
All characters have those 4 powers. All of those, but each character uses them differently. Let's just say Zelda, because I remember hers. She suddenly creates a gigantic like spider that's a bomb, and it shoots little bombs all around it, and you take control of that thing and you walk it around. So everybody has those 4 powers, but uses it so totally differently. Same thing with the magnetic power. Impa gathers metal from all around her and turns it into a huge like axe, and she swings it around and then does like a big old like crushing blow, like a Dark Souls kind of thing. And it's just, I'm really impressed by that. Really, really impressed.
Yeah. No, this game is shaping up to look really in-depth and really captivating as well, because there's a lot to master in this game.
Yeah. I will say that, like, on the negatives, right? I kind of wish that you could remap the controls or something like that, just because I find myself, and it must be from Hyrule Warriors, instinctively pressing like different buttons to lock on to enemies. I'm like, oh wait, no, it's like you have to press ZR in to lock onto an enemy, which also I don't really like that. I don't like using ZR in heat of the moment type things.
Yeah.
I like,
No, I'm the same way.
or not ZR, I'm sorry. I meant to say right stick,
The
like clicking
stick.
in right stick. And same thing with like clicking in left stick. Clicking in left stick is fine in this game because all it does is zoom your map in, which is fine. I like it when it's something that doesn't affect the very moment. So I don't really like that. And I just kind of wish you could remap your controls in general. Yeah, but we'll see. You know, these are still early impressions. I'm still trying to get myself into the controls.
Nintendo is really good about reacting to feedback during these kind of demos.
Sometimes they are.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see that a little bit more later when we talk about Bravely Default 2. So
Yeah. We have so much to talk about there.
Yeah.
The very last thing I wanted to mention on the negatives is that it looks very beautiful. It plays, it moves so.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, big question. Did you play it docked or did you play it handheld? Because I played my entire experience in handheld.
Okay, I've primarily played it in handheld just because the only times I was getting to play it is at like 11 o'clock at night right before I go to bed. I did try it on the TV once, and I didn't notice like really any differences.
Okay.
So there's that. What's your experience with like performance and visuals and stuff?
Handheld, it was fine. Like, it was enough. I didn't experience any problems. I didn't experience any like dropped frames or slow down or anything like that. So
okay,
but,
there's definitely drop frames though. You're just not noticing them.
Probably.
There definitely is. It doesn't affect gameplay, but it does.
Yeah.
It does like perform mostly at like, you know, say a 30 frames a second kind of thing, and then there will be a sudden dip or something like that, and it kind of makes you feel like you're blinking or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just games like this really make me wish that there was like a Switch Pro. You know what I mean? Just makes me wish that the Switch hardware was a little bit more capable, you know? Just to like make some of the games run a little bit better and whatnot.
Yeah, well, and I've got some thoughts about that, but we'll talk about that later. So
Okay.
But I'm right there with you that I wish that we could push forward the Switch technology a little bit because I love this premise. I love this concept.
So ultimately, you know, it doesn't affect gameplay or anything, but it is a visual scratch on what is overall a pretty impressive package.
Yeah.
Package. I'm sorry, I'm perpetually 7 years old. What is this sinister laughter?
Nah, I'm just personal story. That's all.
What? Okay, listen, Galen's getting gross. Let's move on to the news. Galen, make the news sound. Great, you did it! Starting off in the news, we're not going to talk about this topic too long. It's important to bring up, but we've kind of talked the topic to death. EA has been fined over loot boxes in the Netherlands.
Good.
Yeah. So the story here is the Netherlands District Court. They ruled against EA, allowing the Netherlands Gambling Authority, also known as the KSA, to fine EA 10 million euro. 10 million euro.
Yep.
For violating the Netherlands Betting and Gaming Act. And these are actually charges from last year, from October last year, that EA contested, and the contestion, it was thrown out.
Yeah, I was reading some of their contestions and what they were arguing in. It was such bullcrap.
Galen, give me some of these arguments, why don't you?
Okay. Let's pretend this is the court. I'll play the role of EA because, you know, I'm a fake gamer.
Right. And I'll be totally judgmental because I'm only Dino.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, let's see. One of the first ones that they said was that shit. Let me just set this up.
Let's buy some time. Butts.
Yeah. So,
I did it.
as EA, loot boxes should not count as gambling under the Betting and Gaming Act because the FIFA Ultimate Team Packs don't offer items of value because they cannot be directly converted into money.
So it's just shittier gambling.
Yeah, it's shittier gambling, but they went ahead and proved that, yes, there are examples of people actually buying these services and doing these other things. So there is this external, like, currency kind of going on there.
It's dumb.
And then one of my favorite ones was they were like, there is no scientific proof that the Ultimate Team Packs are linked to gambling addiction of any sort.
Well, there's technically not any scientific proof that stubbing your toe hurts.
Yeah, well, and this is just like, I don't know.
Also, hyper specific. They're basically everything that they're arguing holds no water because it is such a hyper specific, total technicality nonsense argument. You know?
Yeah, that's like saying, hey, I have gin bean alcohol, and there are no studies that prove that this leads to alcohol addiction whatsoever. Really? Really?
I don't know if that's actually a really good comparison, but we'll give you points. Points for trying, Galen.
Yeah, it was just literally bottom line, every single point that EA kind of brought to kind of like contest this was completely thrown out. So
yeah, which is great because they tried to argue on technicalities and like slippery slope arguments, those kinds of bad faith arguments, and thankfully reason prevailed. The EA even tried to argue that the KSA was censoring the creativity of FIFA's designers.
Yep.
Which that was the most egregious one that I had heard for this, because they tried to use creativity as the frickin' shield, as the martyr for this. And it's like, This is not creativity. This is the creative people, okay, working at EA, getting paid shit, you know, making the code, making the designs, are being told what to do by upper management who have made these decisions based on how much more rich they can get, you know? That's not creativity, okay?
Well, and also you're talking about a practice of selling something to people. There's no sense of creativity. It's not like saying, hey, you can't write this because of reasons X, Y, and Z. It's, you can't do this because it's gambling. End of sentence.
Right, you can't do unregulated gambling. Well, it's not gambling because it's actually shittier. Great. Asshole.
One of the, I think this is the last big one that they argued against, but they also said, hey, if this fine does go through, don't tell the public about it because it'll be defaming EA as a company.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing because it's like, listen, EA, let me tell you a little about your fame right now.
How many years have they been voted the worst business?
Yeah, in America, exactly. Like, I think 3 consecutive years or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, awesome on the Netherlands. We got lots of listeners in the Netherlands and surrounding countries, of course. So, go ahead.
I do also want to point out that the $10 million that they got fined is actually
10 million euro.
It's euro, that's correct.
So it's even higher than dollars.
This is actually, I think they were really trying to make a point and make a statement with this because it is the max amount of, how do I want to say this? It is the maximum violation that they could have possibly be charged with, which is actually only 5 million euro. They actually charged them twice. They charged not only EA as the parent company, but also EA Swiss.
Right.
With the same exact fine. And they maxed out the fine on both cases. So. Yeah.
It's very interesting because, I mean, rulings like this, rulings in general, they do set precedents, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens after this in the EU. But then where that will trickle down to.
Yeah. It's so surprising that this is still a thing because this was really big back in 2018.
Yeah, 2018 is when it
So-
started. That's when the Netherlands KSA, they said,
Yeah.
we do consider it gambling. We're going to give you something like really generous. Was it like 8 months or something? It was like a really long time to be like, listen, get your games compliant. We do
8 weeks.
Oh,
Sorry.
8 weeks. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually not particularly generous. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I'd love to hear from some of our Dutch listeners. And I mean, we heard from a listener in Belgium. I think it was Jenny. I want to say it was Jenny. You know, just where it is deemed gambling, and then like I think Nintendo's mobile games are pulled in the digital stores on iOS and Android. And so it's just interesting too, because like, it's bad game design. It's designing your game around making people spend money, which has never needed to happen. It's just, you know, to make people rich and exploit, you know, people who have problems. And but then there's also the other result of this, of where it's like, well, then people can't play the games. And like, I don't feel bad about that, but it is a fact, so it is something to think about. So I don't know, it's a big topic to discuss. So I'd love to hear from some of our listeners who are like directly affected by some of these decisions.
Join our Discord, or go ahead and just send us an email if you want to hear us talk about it more.
You always say discard.
Discord.
I don't know why you say that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Let's move on to the big news this week. The big, fat, sexy Nintendo Direct Mini. The final partner showcase of the year for October 2020.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they specifically said, hey, this is the last one we're doing. So
It doesn't surprise me.
yeah, I guess.
If anything, I thought maybe it would be November. But honestly, I think that that's seriously just like, okay, cards on the table, stop asking us for another Direct next month, because this is the last one. Okay, you know what I mean? Just because fans are rabid. Fans are big old piss babies.
They really are. And
speaking of piss babies, I just want to do a shout out to all my lovely people on Twitter who directly messaged me, and they were like, they made this Direct specifically for Oni Dino. I got like 8 or 9 people saying something to that effect, and I was like, yes, they did. Yes, they did. High fives everywhere around.
Judging the butts of every single thing in this.
No, there wasn't much butts happening.
No, but you're still judging them.
Galen, how
Yes?
did the Nintendo Direct start off? Let's go through it.
Well, first things first, they talked a lot about Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, we finally got some news on this.
Yeah. They were showcasing the game a little bit more. They were giving a little bit of a breakdown on like the overarching story, something about like Warriors of Light that you're going to be involved with. There are 4 separate heroes.
Blah, 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 yep.
Yeah, basic kind of stuff. I do have to say, this trailer sold me on the voice acting.
Oh, yeah?
My god, I loved every bit of it. Yeah.
Tell me more.
Absolutely. No, just the range of different expressions. I could really tell the personalities of the characters, even for the briefest of like 1 or 2 lines they were on there for. I got a sense of who these characters were, what they were about, and I want to know more about them now that I know the archetypes that they are setting up. And
Yeah.
I love that. It's very hard to do that in a simple trailer, but it did it very well. I highly recommend watching this trailer if you guys haven't.
I'm really happy to hear that, because one of the highlights of this game has been, and then also with this trailer as well, has been the accents and the localization for me.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to, and I can't say this about too many games, I'm really excited to play this in English text and with English voice acting.
Yeah.
I love the variety of accents. Like, your 4 main characters all have different accents. Big shout out to the voice actor playing Seth, who is a very British person doing an American accent so unconvincingly, but it works. It works for this.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to when he says things that have like an L and an R right next to each other. So when he says like, there will be nothing, and he says there'll be, but he doesn't pronounce the R in there'll, so he says like they'll,
Yeah.
Same thing with world. And listen, we all know how difficult it is to say the word world, but he, very obvious British problem there. But I love it. It's almost like it's baked into the world where it's like, that's how he talks.
Exactly. Well,
what?
Going back to tabletop RPGs, because that's the only thing I know how to talk about. When the topic of stereotypical accents when you're playing these kind of things come up, it really kind of brings attention to, you can make any sort of accents that you want within the world, because there's nothing to stereotype, certain accents in a certain way or anything like that.
It's a brand new world, right? So
as long as it's consistent within that world itself.
Yeah.
Maybe this is how everybody talks.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. Because then there's the one girl, Adele. She has this like transatlantic, accent, and it's just cool. I just love accents and wordplay and stuff. Oh, and speaking of wordplay, they showed off that Vanguard guy. He has like an Australian accent, but then sometimes gets like super American with it. Like he'll say erotic R's sometimes.
Yeah.
There was one moment where he said this line, and this is great. He says, "That Calamity stuff's just a load of bull dust some drongo made up." And I that's my American accent, but he says it, in like an Australianish kind of accent. But that is a great localization, because they said Loda and bull dust, which is, not something in real life English that I know of. That's probably referring to something in the world. And I think that that's such great world building, to mention things from your world in your language. So like, for example, we say like, "Oh, this is shit," in English, but then maybe in their world,
Yahoo!
No, that's fine. I'll leave it in. Too much editing. But then in their world, maybe they say, "Oh, this is a bunch of bull dust," like little things like that. Like you can definitely overuse it, and then that gets really distracting. But in certain ways, it's just great world building. Love it.
Yeah. Speaking of the Shield Vanguard guy, they did a little bit of an explanation on some of the different classes that you're going to be able to play as in the game. I can't remember what they called it exactly. They had a specific like in-game term for it.
Which one?
Well, they showed off the Vanguard, which is the guy with the shields.
Yes.
They showed off the Bard, who seems to specialize in buffing the party, things like that. Beastmaster, which seems to summon beasts, not much explanation there. And also Gambler, which seems to focus on magical random chance with the possibility of negative effects. But they gave it a particular term. Do you remember what this term was?
For each of those classes?
Like for each of them, they were like...
You named them all right.
No. I'm saying like the... these are the sigil holders
asterisks
or something. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes. So
it basically
there was a term, but it was bugging me what it was.
Okay. Yeah. It was in the other game as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. But they showcased all of those, and they also said that there are going to be more in the game to come up as well.
Yeah. In the trailer, there was a painter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about the painter class. Basically, like Kirby, wow.
Exactly. They kind of rounded off this section of the trailer by talking a lot about the demo that they came out with back in March. They took the feedback. They said that they were making some adjustments to the camera, to the difficulty. So, hey, cool. I love to hear a response back to feedback. So,
feedback to feedback.
Yeah.
Allow myself to introduce myself. Special shout out to myself. I wrote up an article.
Oh, that's never happened before.
Listen, this is me time, so see your way out of it.
Did you say that to I don't know, anybody that you interviewed at E3 last year?
What? This is me time?
Yeah.
No. What? Oh, you're trying to be like, bring up your own story about your own wonderful life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, really
you do have a very great life. I'm just saying.
Really well executed.
You have a
joke,
great
Galen.
life.
Anyway, Oh, I wrote up an article on Silicon Era that detailed all of the different changes from the feedback that we know about so far. So do check that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, all in all,
The
looking
Silica
great.
Everything podcast.
Shut up. Everything looking great. I'm really excited about this game. I think they didn't show off enough about like the characters or the story so much, which the story is certainly boilerplate, but around the boilerplate like bones, the Bravely series has done pretty good like character writing or like story writing around that stuff as the foundation. So I'm excited to hear more about that. I hope that they push that a little bit more because they've done a good job about the gameplay system so far.
Yeah, and I'll be completely honest, like when it comes to JRPG stories, I feel like there are certain niches that a lot of them kind of like go to, and it's just a matter of the specific of, okay, what is this particular story doing? What is this one doing? I feel like if you are going into this this game, then going in rather blind and learning more about those characters is more beneficial to you. It's going to increase your enjoyment in it.
Yeah, because there's only 4 characters and you're going to be sticking with them the entire game.
Exactly.
Which I'm cool with. I just want to make sure that they're very well rounded, that we get some character development, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. But talking to somebody who's never heard of the Bravely Default series before, it's probably more important to focus on like what makes this JRPG different from other JRPGs, and
that's true.
So I understand why they didn't go too much into the characters.
Yeah, that's a good observation.
Thank you.
What do you feel about the art style, Galen?
Oh, I'm into it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So am I. It's been kind of divisive online.
Yeah.
I feel like it ticks a box for certain people where they're just like, oh, no, you know? For me, I'm super into it.
Yeah, I can see how it's not for some people. For me, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I've always been more of, let's see what these characters can do and what the story can produce more than how does it look visually. I will say I am very much enjoying the upgrade from the 3DS.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So,
and it's still looking like super gorgeous with those towns, like, you know, pulling back and seeing the whole town. I'm just really excited because art direction is so much more important to me than, you know, graphical powerhouse crazy stuff, you know?
Exactly.
Anyway, moving on to the next one. Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town.
So, fun story about this. I actually discovered this game before the announcement on the Nintendo Direct. I was just going through the eShop and this came up as one of the games that you could pre-order, the new releases or whatever. And I'm like, hey, this looks very weird. Looked into it and I was like, this looks just like Harvest Moon. What the heck? The cows look the same. The characters look the same. I watched the same trailer that they showcased because they had that on the eShop. And I was like, this is freaking Harvest Moon. And what is this called? Story of Seasons? I've never heard of this before. Apparently, this literally is Harvest Moon.
Yes.
They changed the name back in 2012.
Yes.
I had no idea.
So the really weird thing, this is actually kind of like Night of the Living Dead and like Return of the Dead kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where the true spirit of this game, of original Harvest Moon, has gone to a different what? It's a pasture. Oh, that's not bad. Except that it's very much alive. Story of Seasons is what it's called. They don't have the rights to call it Harvest Moon. Mm-hmm. Making things more confusing, Harvest Moon in name still exists. And people who are super into it, into these types of games, they already know, but like people who are casually interested, like yourself, they maybe don't know, or they did know and then they forgot and everything like that. Story of Seasons is what you want. If you want your farming sim, if you loved old Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons is what you want. Modern Harvest Moon is a mixed bag, we'll say. There is going to be a new game on Switch. It's called Harvest Moon One World, I think. And I think Natsume owns the publishing and developing rights to it, and it looks not so impressive.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And then Story of Seasons, not like it's looking like super crazy good or anything, but it's definitely looking like a game,
Yeah, I definitely think that they are going to kind of capitalize off of the success of Animal Crossing, because
they'd be smart too.
Yeah, it does very much check a lot of the same boxes that Animal Crossing does, as far as like a life building simulator type thing.
Yeah.
Not for me personally.
No,
but
I was gonna ask you, like, because it has Animal Crossing vibes, like maybe you'd be into it.
To be completely fair, I really got into Animal Crossing more because my wife had such an investment in the series as a whole, and it was just perfect timing of going into 2020, having everything that's happening there, and having Animal Crossing to be able to escape to.
Yeah.
It was nice to have something that I can build a routine within.
Mm-hmm.
There are other games that have been recommended to me. Shoot, what's the one that I'm thinking of?
I don't know. You have described literally nothing about it.
No, it's not. Why do I want to say Maple Story? It's not Maple Story. It's the other.
Story of Seasons.
Yeah. Anyway,
it'll come to you later.
It'll come to me later. Frick, Rental Floss just made a song about this game. God damn it.
Well, this is horribly uninteresting. But Galen, did you not notice in Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town, you can shear alpacas? Did you not see that?
I did not.
Well, clearly you're a fake video watcher as well. There was this like shaggy alpaca, and then your character ran up to it, and then he put like little shears, or he did like a little animation, and then suddenly the alpaca could see again, and it was so cute. It was so cute. You should
that is adorable.
I have a feeling this isn't going to be a full price game as well. Like maybe it'll be like $50 or $40.
Probably.
You should keep your eye on this, and it's coming out in March of 2021, so that's a year after Animal Crossing, so that's far enough removed.
No, that's true.
Maybe
I'll add it to my wish list and keep an eye for when it goes on sale.
Yeah. Maybe your wife will be into it too.
I've got like 35 games on my wish list right now.
That's fine.
It is ridiculous.
And that's fine. One of us. Mm-hmm. Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus.
I'm not continuing this joke. It's not happening.
Okay, the only reason you're not is because you don't know the lyrics. Anyway. Next...
No, because every time I think about it, I think of the Dr. Evil version of it. And I'd rather not go down that route.
We bring up Austin Powers kind of a lot on this show. When was the last time you watched any of those movies?
Oddly, dude, you've been bringing it up more than I have been.
I've never brought it up in my entire life, Oprah.
Not once. I'd say roll the clip of you mentioning it all in the past episodes, but no.
But it doesn't exist.
So.
Yeah, no such footage exists. Next game, Surviving the Aftermath.
Yeah. What do you know about this game?
Nothing. All I know is what the trailer showed me. And
yeah.
I don't think that it did a particularly good job of kind of showing it off. It was certainly a tone piece more than anything. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know, it seems like kind of Command and Conquer, but on a more intimate kind of level.
I would equate it more to something like SimCity. This seems to be more of like a community generator or a community builder type game, which there's a lot that are out there.
Do you know this
setting,
game?
I don't know this game personally. But I recognize what
I don't know what she's done. I don't know.
I only know
she's gonna vote for this November. Don't know her personally. This Aftermath.
But with that being said, I know what it's trying to do, and it's really going to be a management game more than anything, of just wanting to keep your population happy, fed, safe, protected. There seems to be some sort of tower defense aspects that are going on with it. They were showing like raiders attacking your walls and setting them on fire and trying to fight back. So yeah, it just.
I did like the look of the game, so I'll keep my eye on it. I'll keep it in the back of my pocket.
Yeah,
that sounded like a Galen saying.
That did.
Instead of I'll keep it in my mind, or that's not right either. I'll keep an eye on it. That's a saying.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I'll keep my eye in my pocket. You are so the Tobias Funke of this podcast.
I think so. That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah. After that was the Ubisoft Phoenix game. Again, we're not really talking about Ubisoft much. I do want to say, and this is really, really my thought about this.
Okay.
I don't think that this trailer looked very good.
The game looks a little underwhelming.
Doesn't it?
Like,
I know that like my hype died down for the game because of some really terrible business practices, or not business. It's not even business practice. Some really terrible
management.
Yeah,
practices.
Lack of management and hiding of basically predators and stuff that Ubisoft has been alleged of. But anyway, this game, this trailer in particular, it looks rough. I really actually hate the character design. Everybody kind of looks like a Barbie doll, or like a weird like off-brand Barbie doll.
It's really difficult. Exactly. And it's really difficult to me. I don't know if it is the amount of effort put into the graphics of the game, or if it is intentional artistic choices. And it doesn't jive with me.
Me either.
So.
It feels like a first draft or a second draft of like your characters, and then people would kind of go over it and be like, all right, well, we need more life here, we need more articulation here. And it wasn't just the main character. I thought like, ooh, this main character looks like shit. They showed another character that was a guy, and I was like, oh god, I don't know. And this is me, somebody who likes the Animal Crossing, Jesus, Bravely Default.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like Bravely Default, there is an artistic simplicity with how the characters are actually being designed.
Yeah. The
choices that they make with like the details in the face or the absence of details in the face, like that stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
It works together and it blends together. This I feel is a different case where it was more, I'm seeing more shortcuts than artistic decisions.
Yeah.
Here.
That's a really good way to say it, I think.
My tinfoil hat feeling that I am getting from this is that when they announced this as Gods and Monsters and they were putting the development behind this, they realized very quickly that the project was not coming up to par, and they had this game that they had already hyped up, and they were kind of riding the wave of, hey, this is going to be a new quote unquote Zelda killer, but they were realizing very quickly it's not going to be that, and that's why that name change actually happened, and they're kind of just rushing this project out just to get it out of the way and like cut their losses on the investment.
You think so?
Honestly,
well,
I
that's
would not be
your aluminium foil hat.
Yes, exactly. Like I would not be surprised if like a year from now we get the Matt McMuscles video telling us exactly what happened with this game. But everything that I've seen in the industry as far as like the trends that companies like this have going on, I 100% see this is basically what's happening.
And I really don't like the new name too. I think it's actually more forgettable. It sounds like such a like manufactured name. Gods and Monsters, like perfect, like simple. Well, this one just sounds like overcooked. Whatever it even is, I can't remember. It's like Phoenix Uprising or something like that.
Yeah, it's Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, whatever.
Phoenix is spelled Fenys.
Because that's the name of your main character. Whatever.
Well, yeah, but also it just, I don't know, it just sounds pretentious.
It just overdone. Like they overcooked it. Gods and Monsters, perfect. You know what I mean? That was a good title.
Yeah. That's all I want to give to this game as far as attention.
Yeah, I don't care about it, and I'm not going to lie to myself that those Ubisoft, problems in management. I'm not going to lie to myself that like, oh well, I need to support this game or whatever. Like, no, I don't. Absolutely no, I don't.
No.
Very sorry for all those alleged victims. You know what I mean? That's awful. Anyway, something that's not awful. Galen, Bakugan.
Yeah. literally, this told us nothing. Like, it was a, hey, remember this game that we dropped on everybody after, in that one treehouse?
This game is coming out in November. Did you know that?
You literally just told this to me 5 seconds ago, and I still don't know it. It is that forgettable.
Yeah. And you know, I think what's a shame though about this, and again, I'm not the audience for this. I don't really have too much of a harsh opinion or anything like that. I just kind of see a lot of potential in this, and then I'm like, oh, but just either they played it safe, or like they didn't have the budget or the time or whatever. And I see that they went in the right direction, kind of thing, but like it's underwhelming. But again, I'm not the audience for this, so. Anyway, Griftlands. They showed off a little game called Griftlands.
Yeah, this was weird because they were talking about like, hope your diplomacy skills are up to snuff or something like that, and then literally showed nothing of that.
Yeah. So apparently this is like a dialogue role-playing game, and depending on what you make decisions towards, you have to sort of fight your way out of the decisions you made. It's a deck building roguelike, and I was like, ooh, Galen's ears perked up.
Yeah, hearing that, I was very interested in, but honestly, I know nothing else about this game.
Yeah.
Beyond that,
I would love for you to play games like this because I want to hear what you think, because these are so adjacent to your interests, you know?
I can kind of get into that. Yeah, I can 100% get into that. So
you can get behind it. You can get on top of it. Is that what you can get into?
Yeah.
Next, Tropico 6.
Yeah,
kind of a sim game, Sim City kind of game.
All three of these games kind of like sizzle reeled together and just really blended together in a way that it was very. It didn't tell us anything other than these games are coming out.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were, 5 other Tropico games. I knew that.
I don't know if that's genuinely actually the case or if it's just like the name of something. You know what I mean? Like
okay.
For Super Mario 35, there weren't 34 other games. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's actually like that kind of a naming convention or.
I want to say that there are a number of other Tropico games, so they might actually be up to number 6 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, you can be a civil dictator.
Yeah, you take care of your island and your people's needs, and you build things. And
this is very much a SimCity, simulator.
It seems to take place over like several months and several years, judging by like the UI. In the very bottom corner, it showed like the month and year, and then like a little bar like progressing like time. So that's really cool. And if there's like a historical aspect to it as well, I think that's really interesting actually.
This seems like a very focused and almost more cartoony version of like the Civilization series.
Yeah. It reminded me, I played a very long time ago on my sister's PC because like my sister got a computer, and this was before I had a computer, so I was like, oh, this is so cool. There was a roller coaster game where like you built your own amusement park and you had to take care of what the people wanted. And
Roller Coaster Typhoon?
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so it reminded me of that, but on a much grander scale.
Oh my god. I remember when I was it was either elementary school or middle school, they were really just kind of introducing like computers into the classroom on like a consistent basis. But one of the games that they actually had us play, and we had computer lab time, it was either Hot Dog Tycoon or Lemonade Tycoon. It was some sort of like business simulator type thing.
Okay, go on.
Well, no, you're talking about Roller Coaster Typhoon, and that's another business simulator kind of game. I remember specifically playing that in like elementary school or middle school.
But what is like, Hot Dog or Lemonade Tycoon? Like, what did you do?
You had a small lemonade stand or hot dog cart, and you would grow that into a business, and you had to like do expense costs, and you had to deal with customers, and you had to set prices for your stuff, and you had to see like how prices would fluctuate, how much money you would make depending on like when you do it.
You know, actually, that if they execute that right, that sounds actually like a really good learning tool, because that is a concept that kids can understand. Like, you see the hot dog vendors on the corner of the street or whatever, and you get a hot dog. And plus, that keeps it on a smaller scale too, where what do you sell at a hot dog stand? You know, you sell a hot dog, a side, maybe a dessert, and then drinks. That's it. And
also, when you're doing it at such a young age that you're seeing, okay, what is this something that as a child you would be able to understand these simplistic concepts with, to something you would maybe want to invest more of your education into.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I like those kinds of educational games.
Yeah.
But they have to like have genuine design behind them. They can't just be like, now you're learning, see? But you're really playing a video game. So Tropico 6.
Kids just play Fortnite.
Oh god, no. And then they just rage on the internet. Little gobshites on the internet.
Speaking of raging on the internet, yeah, we have some cloud games coming out.
Yeah, part-time UFO.
We have cloud versions.
UFOs come from the clouds.
What?
Galen, you missed my joke right away.
I did just miss it.
Well, that's staying in. Hitman 3 cloud version. Galen, tell us about this.
It's Hitman 3, just played over the cloud.
I think this is cool. What do you think?
Moving on. They also have Control, the game that came out last year, with some pretty high praise. Again, coming out for the cloud version.
Bitch, I asked you a question.
Huh?
I asked you a question. I was like, I think this is cool. What do you think?
I actually downloaded Control.
Okay.
Onto the Switch.
Did you try it?
I did try it.
Oh?
Yeah. It was terrible.
What do you mean?
Moving on. Okay, so when you download it, it actually gives you a trial version, and it's specifically it is a free download. It links you up and it asks you, hey, do you want the performance version or do you want the graphical experience version?
Right.
Depending on how much they're gonna put. I did the performance version.
Right.
As I was playing the game, I would have these stutters in my control. I would be moving around and like trying to rotate the camera, and then it would like overcompensate and continue to rotate past where my command was actually going into. It was like there was a delay in the internet, but it kept the last command and kept pushing it forward.
Like predictive. So, there's like that technology, that like predictive thing.
Yeah. It really threw me off. And then,
were you playing on Wi-Fi?
I was. Yeah. I was not playing on a wired one, so that might have changed the experience a little bit.
Right,
but
right. And you don't have fiber or anything. This is just like run-of-the-mill shitty American internet, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I do have fiber internet at my home, but not through my Wi-Fi network.
Okay.
So, with that said, though, I was just kind of getting used to this and understanding where this compromise was. Went up to talk to the first guy, and then as soon as he was like, oh, well, go down this room and you'll go in for your interview, all of a sudden the demo stopped and said, your time is up. If you would like to continue, please pay $40 for the full access. And I was like, no, thank you. And uninstalled it.
Okay.
And I don't know if I was messing around with the settings too much and just running out the timer.
Yes.
I don't know if this was a timed thing and they were just like, we're doing a hard stop at this point. Regardless, I had a terrible experience, and it has completely thrown off all aspect of this cloud gaming for me on the system as is.
That's fascinating to me, because everything, from what I know, everything that you did was wrong. So you ruined the experience for yourself, I think. But that's great, though. So. That's great. We have two, I think,
but
totally
it doesn't tell
opinions.
You. It doesn't tell you that it's going to be a time limit. So
yeah, they should.
If you want to try this out, please keep that in mind. Please know that you have a limited amount of time when you are starting this up to go through, and that you definitely want to give it the best chance possible and keep that wide.
Yes. But also, like, if you're playing anything online, you should really just do a wired connection because of the stability. Especially if you're in North America. The internet here is so bad. It's always baffling to me when like I come back to the States from being abroad and I'm just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And normally I would agree with you. However, one of the biggest benefits of the Switch console is the fact that you can take it with you.
That's true.
So
That's a good argument.
You need to find out what it's like when you are on Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And that's we'll talk about that right after we get done with the Direct here. Let's keep going through the Direct, but let's have you know what? Okay, let's talk about cloud gaming right now.
Yahoo!
That's true. Okay, cloud gaming here.
Yeah.
I think that with the inevitable Switch revision, whatever it is, even if it's not a pro version or whatever, if they do whatever technical mumbo jumbo needs to be done to make the Switch a more viable option for cloud gaming and streaming, this can be a great ace up their sleeve for them to compete in the next gen market, where they can have games like Hitman 3 and Control on their system, but through the cloud. There are so many aspects to this, though, that need to line up right to make sense for consumers.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
One thing is, where do you live? Is your internet good enough, right? That's already gonna, I mean, even though the Switch install base is huge, and especially going into the PS5 and the Xbox, it's gonna be just, 10 to 1, if not, more, in terms of the install base. So, developers are gonna want their games to be on Switch, even though they maybe technically can't be. So cloud gaming could be an option for them. However, that already lowers it down, like who has good enough internet, who has stable internet, all that kind of stuff. So that's an issue that is beyond Nintendo. But then there's also the issue of price as well. How much was it for the Control, the unlock to play the whole game?
$40.
$40.
Yes.
Okay. $40, so, but also they're offering this game for $40 on the other systems too, right? I mean,
I believe so.
I think so. Let's just say,
and it's also
for the sake,
it's also a game that's been out for a full year, so you do have that tax of delayed games.
This is also the ultimate version, the one that they're releasing on PS5 and Xbox as well. So this is the upgraded version. But for the sake of argument, let's just say it's $40 on all the platforms.
Sure.
Even if it comes out later and it is the one that has like all the DLC and stuff like that, that's sort of like the risk reward of like getting in early versus coming in late. Whether you're doing that cloud version or physical or digital, it doesn't matter. There are positives and negatives to cloud gaming. And for Nintendo Switch, if that's the option that you're using, you're not choosing cloud gaming over physical because that's a huge benefit or something, and you're saving a whole bunch of like space or whatever. You're kind of choosing that out of lack of options, right? Because like potentially the cloud version of the game could be great, but realistically it's probably the worst version.
Yeah.
To compensate with that, I really think that they should price the cloud gaming version very competitively. I think that this should be $20.
No,
if this
absolutely.
was $20 and it ran well on my Switch in wired, I've yet to try it out, of course. But if it did, I'd pay $20. I know I don't actually own the game. I know I'm just paying like to play the game, whatever. But it's $20. I can take that hit for something that I wouldn't own forever. It's just like going to a movie theater and paying, $10, $15 to see a movie.
Exactly.
You're not paying for the movie, but you are for your one-time experience, and it's, a certain price and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of down for cloud gaming in certain aspects.
Yeah.
It's gotta make sense.
I have my suspicions, and again, this is tinfoil hat version.
Okay.
That this is a precursor to Nintendo's main strategy post 2020.
I think it could be a good strategy for them for third-party big games like this.
Not even that. I think they are going to change up their model in its entirety to accommodate a more... No, hear me out.
I can't wait to hear this. I'm excited.
Yeah. I think they are changing everything up and focusing on cloud gaming as the future of what Nintendo wants to do.
I really don't think so, but I really want to hear what you got to say. Go.
So here's my evidence. So, 1, we have not had a Switch Pro version come out for quite some time. Nintendo is not blind to the fact that their console is currently out of date when it comes to what game developers are currently facing.
Yeah, what they need.
This is a Yeah. So, we've had great Nintendo games come out in the past couple of years, but it's always been Nintendo in-house. They need to reach out to those developers, and what's an easy cost-cutting thing is to say, hey, make one version of the game that's going to be for the cloud. You can put it on all these different platforms, but it will run best on the Switch, because we are making a version or a hardware version that is specifically designed to run these kind of things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking they're going to be doing.
I mean, I don't think that's what they're doing, but I do kind of hope that's what they're doing for the sake of third-party developers. That way they can get these games on the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Also, they have been very ominous about cutting things off of the eShop sometime in March.
Yes, there is also that, which is just weird, right? I'm interested to see what April brings just because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think they are going to completely restructure their eShop and how they are processing things going forward. Also, if you look at the industry as a whole, there are a lot of different versions of consoles that are coming out. You look at Microsoft, and they have the Series X and the Series X or whatever.
God, I swear to God, like to my ears.
Thing.
What?
I think I might have said the same thing. I don't know.
Okay, I was going to say to my ears, I thought that you said X twice.
Yeah.
But that's a problem. Not
exactly.
I mean, that's a Galen problem. You got problems.
Yeah.
But this is also a Microsoft problem. Why are they choosing the two letters that sound so much alike?
Exactly.
That's why on the phone, when you say the letter S, you always say S as in Sam. Because nobody knows what the you just said. What letter you just said.
Exactly. You look at Sony with an S as in Sam. And they have a digital-only version of the PS5 as well as their physical version. The digital-only one is... they're different versions of the console. They're different entry points. Nintendo kind of has that with its Switch Lite and its regular Switch.
A little bit, yeah.
Now, if they were to come out in advance with a new console, they could very easily adopt this model, and if they focus primarily everything on cloud gaming, 1, they'd really be able to hit it home and increase their sales of their Nintendo Online membership. 2, they'd be able to do it in a way that doesn't ostracize all of the existing Switch owners, because, yeah, maybe you don't get this cloud version, but you can still make benefits and still, be able to get the new games under this new model as well. There are a lot of signs that are leading up to this kind of inevitability. I don't know if it's a good move, and I'm kind of hoping that I'm wrong.
Interesting, because I'm more so hoping that you're right, just because I think that puts them... I think it makes them more competitive, as long as it doesn't change them overall, like, going straight to cloud gaming, which I really don't think they're doing, because that's way too bold and soon of a move for them to do anything like that. If they're going to do that, they're going to wait until everything's very safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because they're a general audience company, right? Like family friendly.
It's true.
For everybody. Cloud gaming isn't for everybody. It's not for the most tech savvy kind of people. So they're not going to do that right out the gate. You know what I mean?
But they're also focusing on, because they have that portability aspect with no competition, mind you, other than mobile gaming, which, again, that's kind of cloud gaming in a certain sense, depending on how you look at it and what you're playing there. They've also been wanting to focus on diversifying their own interests and focusing more on their IPs, creating the Nintendo amusement park, talking about more Nintendo movies coming out.
Diversifying
focusing on that kind
portfolio.
Which is a smart business move, but it also pads out the kind of things that would happen if there are losses if they do go forward with this idea.
Oh yeah, so they're setting
themselves up. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which entices them to want to take more risks.
Yeah, but also when taking risks, it can damage your brand, and especially like damage your customers' confidence in you. I mean, that's what that's what led to Billy Mumfreed's downfall, okay? And Billy Mumfreed here is Sega when it comes to hardware, right? Like customers lost confidence in all of their hardware when they were coming out with like additions, add-ons.
But again, Nintendo's always been focusing on wanting to push forward the avenue of gaming as more than just we have prettier graphics. So.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see. And I think that cloud gaming is an interesting thing to happen. It's just that it's got to be priced right, and it's got to make sense for the consumer.
Yeah, I see it as an innovation that Nintendo would be willing to take a risk on. Whether or not that pans out, that really depends on the fine details. And yeah, I don't know.
It's cool. I think cloud gaming is interesting. Very, very interesting.
No, there's a lot of potential there. It's just...
Because look at Microsoft's...
I'm more cautious.
That's fine. Look at Microsoft's Game Pass thing. That's a cloud service, isn't it? I mean, I think you actually download them to your system, but I mean, it's like a subscription service, like a Netflix kind of thing, where like you get this access to all of these games for a set amount of price per month, and then I think you can download them so you can play them offline, but you just need to be subscribed. And I think that that's great. I think that's really, really competitive in the market, and it's honestly making me, consider get an Xbox in the future, actually. Yeah. So I don't know. It's cool. I think just competitive stuff, pushing the market forward.
That's another piece of evidence I want to bring up. Microsoft and Nintendo have been talking over the past couple of years.
Right.
We have been seeing Microsoft properties coming over. If Nintendo was to say, hey, we've got this console that is specifically designed for cloud gaming. Oh, by the way, Game Pass games would be able to work on it too.
Right.
I mean...
that would be amazing for me.
That would be amazing. That would get people hyped up. And again, that would also justify taking a risk on cloud gaming in a new console.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I've got some suspicions.
So I think I'm looking at this a bit more in a industry look. Just because that's where I'm working as well. So that excites me because that is more competition, more people trying out different things, and it's sort of pushing technology further. For as much as I'm like Stadia is a joke, I like that it's pushing the topic forward and pushing the technology forward. Like saying like Stadia crawled so such and such can walk kind of thing, that is the truth. So anyway, we'll have to see. We got to move on, but it was a good cloud gaming discussion. Love talking video games with you, Galen.
Aw, thanks. You're pretty all right to talk about video games too.
Thank you. Me. Speaking of me, this announcement right here
was you.
Was just so me. We saw No More Heroes 3 footage starting it off.
It came with a signed letter from Suda51 just saying, hey, Oni, how you doing, boo?
Yeah. Haven't hung out with you in a while. We were drinking and dancing to music back in February. Hope you're doing well. That's what he said to me.
At E3?
No. It wasn't at E3.
Sorry.
What?
It was at Tokyo Game Show.
No, it was after Tokyo Game Show. It was his own personal event. It was his own grasshopper event at the Domyun in the new buildings in Shibuya. Okay. What? You act like you're setting me up for some sort of joke.
It's like listening to a real life Jenna from 30 Rock and just some of the weird things that you say. It's like, I know they're true.
That's the nicest thing you've said to me all day.
Anyway, no more heroes.
No, let's just end the podcast. Let's end on such a happy note.
Yeah, podcast over. I know. Done.
Anyway, No More Heroes 3 looking great. Looking beautiful. Looking way more character action than I thought it would end up looking. We even saw here, Galen, I'll teach you. We even saw a robot henshin happen. Henshin means transformation.
Gotcha.
That's what the like the Power Rangers and the Sentai, that's what they shout.
Yeah. I love how this entire video just started with oh crap, I need to go, where's the bathroom?
Yeah,
And
of
then
course.
all of the announcement happened while he was in the bathroom. So.
No More Heroes 1 and 2 coming to Switch. Coming to Nintendo Switch.
Coming already out.
Oh yeah, they're already out.
Like launched right away.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. Our people on our Discord were talking about this game, and I can't remember who it was who was saying it, but they were just like, this game just told me to off my Wiimote in order to increase the power, and I'm just like, yeah, that was a thing in the game, huh?
Yeah. That was Comicspooks. I'm so happy that this is getting people to talk about No More Heroes, because it's been so long since there really has been a proper No More Heroes game or even port of these games, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just great that like so many people, especially even like people who are younger than us, you know, who maybe didn't play them on the Wii or PS3 or whatever, just getting to play it now and just discovering these games. Like they didn't even know like the iconic things like toilets are saves, or you have to, you know, whack off your Wiimote or you know, your controller to charge your beam katana, like things like that. It's just great to get people talking about it, realizing what a special series this is. Like No More Heroes is imperfect, punkish, anarchic, and creative. You just don't see games like this very often anymore, at least not with a decent budget behind it like these games have. Now, and these aren't big AAA games or anything. This is like an A game, you know? Just it's in between like AA and A. Like, I don't know, I just love it because it's pure creativity, and you really won't get this kind of writing or this kind of experience in many other places. So when that announcement happened and they were like, whoa, they even had the actor for Travis do the announcement as well. He's like, whoa,
yeah.
No More Heroes 2 is also coming to Switch? When's it drop? And then they showed like available today or whatever. And then they have that horrible screen of like mid 2000s internet, like Angel Fire, Advice Dog meme, that kind of like horrible graphic come up, and the trucks.
More Moe.
Yeah, super Moe. They had like these trucks, which happen in Japan, especially like in Tokyo and like major cities, where they put advertisements on the trucks and then they drive around the city and they blast awful music. Those were on the bottom of the screen, and then there's like the traditional dance with like the hat. I forgot what those are called. Is it Mugi Warabashi or Boshi? I forgot. Anyway, they're dancing. These ladies are dancing, and they're like doing the traditional like celebration song. I died laughing. I just absolutely cackled supremely loud. Cliff was upstairs working, and I was like, I promise I'm working too. I'm watching this for work. Cliff came down shortly after. He's like, are you okay? What's going on? That was the only time in my life that he's ever had to like be like, what is happening?
Check up on you.
Yeah. Because I was just cackling like a madman. I was like a mad king. So happy. Nothing made me any happier this week besides that. So when are you buying these games, Galen?
I don't know.
They're both on sale, like a launch discount for 10% off. They're both like $17.
Man, that... Of the two, I think I would probably get the second one over the first one, just because I've played the first one. I have not played the second one.
Oh my god, I didn't know you didn't even play the second one.
Yeah, it slipped by me somehow. So
slipped right into you.
Not what I said.
I think that's what you said. Anyway, just absolutely wonderful. I really hope that all of our lovely listeners pick up these games, give it a try, give it a look, consider picking it up, just because they're so special to me.
Yeah. They're really good games. They really are good games.
I mean, they're flawed, in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that. Like they're fun. It's not like this is semi character action, semi hack and slash. You're not getting Bayonetta. Bayonetta is polished and super tight. That's not what you're getting here. You know what I mean? But you're getting fun gameplay, and surrounded by that fun gameplay that is, you know, good. You're getting hilarious character writing, awesome boss fights, wacky music, just incredible settings, set pieces like you never knew, just a ton of fun. And then there was Part-Time UFO.
Yeah.
Made by Hal. No way to transition to that.
No way to... Dude, I got some major snipper clip vibes from this game when I was watching it. It just, like, it looks fun. It just looks wacky. It looks like you're going to have a good time if you play it with somebody, especially when they were talking about, like, being able to pick up the different things, and it looks fun.
Yeah, so you're a UFO catcher and you're like balancing stuff, and then there's local co-op with the Switch version, and it reminded me of like wholesome WarioWare.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. So, especially with the art style, they decided to draw everything in.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's under $10 as well, so this is definitely
Yeah.
a purchase for me at some point soon.
I'm probably going to pick this up sometime this week. I might talk about it next week.
Nice.
So.
I hope so.
Yeah. No, simple games like this they just make me happy.
By the way, Hades is on sale. 20% off. People keep talking about it. People keep asking us to play it, by the way.
A lot of people are talking about this game. So,
but people have specifically asked us to play this game. I forgot who. I think it's in an email that we'll read in the future, but
okay.
You should maybe buy it, Galen. We should deliver on what the people ask of us.
Okay.
All in all, a wonderful Nintendo Direct to end the partner directs of the year on.
It is also worth mentioning that they ended the show with Hyrule Warriors, but we talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
So
Demo out now.
One thing I did want to mention is that in that trailer we found out that we can ride the Shoopaf.
Oh no, yeah, we can ride the Shoopaf.
Ride the Shoopaf. Yeah. You can ride all of and actually fight in all of the
Divine Beasts.
Yes, thank you. Why was I drawing a blank on
Fake
that?
gamer, that's why.
I have no... No, the entire time, like, as soon as they showed that, I was like, oh my god, this game has motherfucking swords.
yeah, basically.
Go Zelda Rangers.
Yeah.
This is intense.
Go Zelda Rangers. Divine Beast, Zelda Rangers.
Dun dun. Dun dun.
So, okay. Hyrule Warriors, Age of Ultron, what's it called? Age of Calamity.
Age of Ultron. Yes.
We have just basically made it Power Rangers and Terminator. So what should this game actually be called?
Zelda Rangers Salvations.
Mighty Morphin Zelda Dark Fate. We're very funny.
Rise of the Ooze.
Moving on to the additional DLC. Galen, make the additional DLC sound.
I don't remember our sound effects.
Then I don't know why you offered to make them at the beginning of this episode.
You were supposed to shoot me down. Why do you let me do things?
He asks for it, folks. See, you ask why I'm mean. He asks for it. Galen, what's your additional DLC this week?
So, my additional DLC this week is a lovely video made by one of our lovely Discord listeners. Our good friend Comicspooks, which you mentioned a little bit earlier.
No, it was you.
You
did. You quoted him, bro. I just clarified because I'm smarter.
Thank you for the clarification, then.
You're welcome.
He made a lovely video called Why the Resident Evil Movies Matter, which, on hearing that title, I thought, they don't. but I'm willing to listen to the conversation, and I'm glad I did. This video completely threw off any sort of expectation that I had going into it, and I was so happy. There is so much philosophical, musing that's going on with here, talking about the essence of memories and the importance of what they mean for you as a person, relating that to the actual Resident Evil movie series, which is not something I would have ever done before without looking at this objectively. This is such a well-written, well-spoken, fantastically curated video. I cannot highly recommend watching it enough.
Wow.
It is fantastic.
Well, awesome. I didn't prepare an additional DLC, so this is also my additional
Fake
DLC.
podcaster.
I haven't watched it yet. I've been meaning to, because honestly, in our Discord, we've got some really talented folks. Like, do you ever just get a peek at what others are creating and making, and you're like, why do you listen to this podcast, y'all? Like, you're so talented. Why?
Like, truth be told, imposter syndrome is real over here.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, we have some very talented listeners, and so we have a section in our Discord, for those of you who aren't in it yet, called Share Your Stuff. So, and I highly encourage everybody to share their stuff, because I want to see what you guys are making. And this is just one of our many people doing stuff. Like, I recommended coffee cakes last week, because he's making some stuff. He also put in something new today that I'm going to check out. Can't wait to watch all the stuff. I watch everything you guys make, or, look at, or whatever it is.
Yeah. But no, seriously, check out his video. It's like half an hour long, and it's so well written.
Awesome.
And well spoken.
Awesome.
So.
And now to our listener feedback segment. Galen, the sound.
I don't know. I do remember that one.
You can support us so much.
We need a lot of it.
By doing the Apple Podcast 5-star review. And that is just, you just go to the Apple Podcast app, you just click that 5-star, and that's it. You're done. Takes a second.
Nice.
But if you would like to, you can also write a review in there, recommending us with words. Just like this lovely human being. We presume they could be an alien. Ask Me 11 writes, good.
We do pull very
Galen,
very highly in the lizard.
Don't worry, I'm going to cut this part out. But I swear to God, if you interrupt me reading somebody else's comment about us again, I will decapitate you.
Good luck.
Why? Because you the chubby neck? What?
Yeah, very thick neck.
Ew. Ask Me 11 writes, good. Worth a listen. Great. Thank you, Ask Me 11. That's all we ask for.
Short and sweet. I appreciate
Perfect.
that.
So please do leave us an Apple Podcast review or 5-star rating. That is the best way to support us, because that helps us with the algorithms and yada, yada, yada. Overwhelmingly, our biggest platform is Apple Podcasts, like most podcasts. So thank you very much. Please do that. Thank you. You can also write into us via the email. Galen, my voice is stuck at this level.
Yeah, this is going into ASMR territory.
No, it isn't.
So
Tell everybody what is the email.
our email.
Ew, stop!
Our email is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Write into us with questions, comments, concerns, topics of conversation to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com. And hey, when you do, I also just personally very much love hearing about like where you're from, if you feel comfortable sharing, that info.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, hey, I'm from Burkina Faso, and I want to tell you about what I'm doing. Galen, read this email.
Let me save you from yourself with myself and this lovely email by Leonard. Hey, Leonard, how's it going today?
Leonard, you are so lovely. Thank you for writing into us. You wrote us a very long email. We had to cut out a little bit of it, and then Galen's going to try and run through the rest of it. Hurry up, Galen.
Yep. So, Leonard writes in, Hello, Oni and Galen, you beautiful shining boys, you giants of the gaming podcast realm, you desperate and embarrassing weirdos.
That one I'll take.
I hope you're having a wonderful week.
Well,
I have a question for you and another for the listenership. I'll get to you in a second. But first, listeners, have you joined the Nintendo Everything Podcast Discord server yet? If you haven't, why not? Do you not like fun? If that is the case, I can assure you Galen sucks the fun out of every chat on a regular basis, so it's no excuse.
he sucks.
We have everything you could ever want in the NEP Discord. Do you like parties? We love them. Do you hate parties? We do too.
Great.
Even if you have never Discorded before, we are ready to welcome you. So please, take a moment to check out the description and click on the link to enter a world of laughs, or no laughing at all if that's not your sort of thing. In any case, you won't be more or less confused than you were before you visited, and that's a guarantee.
Thank you, Leonard. By the way, if we ever bring in money on this podcast, I am hiring you as our marketer.
Yeah, I really enjoyed reading that. As for you, Oni and Galen, I don't think I need to convince either of you that games are art. Games can often move us more powerfully than books or movies because we are so directly engaged with the work. I can think of a few games that have offered me a glance through other perspectives or helped me alter the way that I think about difficult situations. Perhaps even actually change the course of my life. Through games, I definitely learned to accept aspects of who I am, things I once thought that were bad. So I'm curious if you have games that have affected you in such a large way. Also, listeners, come and tell me about what games have changed your lives on the Nintendo Everything Podcast Discord. I can't wait to meet you. Thank you very much for writing in, Leonard.
Thank you, Leonard. What an impassioned, lovely email.
Absolutely. Well, I need a drink of water really quick, so Oni, how have games as art influenced you?
Okay, so, I mean, sort of, it's not the art aspect so much, just because, so much of creativity, or I should say all of creativity is art. Like, everything is art. It's just subjective. Games have affected me, and sort of in the same way that Leonard is saying, where maybe it's made you think differently, or experience something that you wouldn't have experienced. Let's see, Breath of Fire 2. Okay, it's very normal for me to bring up Breath of Fire. Breath of Fire 2, the enemy in that game is an overtly Catholic church. And, the trope in Japanese RPGs is fight God, kill God, right? This is the first game that I played when I was young that had an overt Catholic message in it. And growing up as a Catholic, it was interesting to see such a different portrayal of something that I knew I wasn't jiving with, but didn't know how to express that, or didn't really consciously know that I wasn't jiving with it. So that was always that was impactful on me when I was younger. And not like I suddenly turned into a heathen and turned against the church or something like that, but it was just getting me to think. And I think that is so important in stories, narratives, just general fuel to your critical thinking fire. So I mean, that's one game. I think just the general experience in coming of age JRPGs, where you just kind of learn this journey, this sort of slice of life even, and then going up to this great big moment, which is the ending of the game, and then it ends, and then you all go your separate ways, moving on with your life. It kind of helped me to experience. And, people get this through books as well, just kind of any storytelling medium. But with video games, you spend so much time with it. And, you play as the characters, you interact with the characters. So there is, for certain people, a much more personal connection with video games. It just, helped me to experience or think about things like that earlier in my life than I normally would have. And I guess on a personal level, I had a lot of changes in my life from a young age, just with like parents getting divorced, moving many different places and many different times, parents moving away, me moving away. All of that stuff kind of came at me earlier than I thought, or not earlier than I thought, but like earlier than it does on average in people's lives. So that, I think, was such a good escape for me as well, video games, that it helped me to deal with a lot of, I think, helped me to deal with, and like, I don't know, I don't mean to sound dramatic when I say this, but like trauma or abuse. So video games gave me like an outlet to sort of experience things when like things weren't going right, or when things either could be paralleled through the video game I was playing. Yeah. On a less like overarching example, there's a character in Lufia 2, which is the prequel to Lufia 1, named Tia. And she is, I think she's a childhood friend. She is an unrequited love character of the main character. She's your first ally in party, and she tags along, and you really get such a feel for this character, despite this being like an RPG from like 93. It's written so efficiently with her, where she clearly loves the main character. She wants to do everything she can for him. Like the first major scene that you guys have is that she makes you a fish, like a dinner, and she ends up like making this really bony carp that she got, and she thought it was like a good fish, but then it wasn't. And then like your main character sits there and he's like trying to eat it, and he's like, no, it's good, you know, like, see, you just got to put some of this extra seasoning on it and it's fine. And she's like, oh man, like I screwed it up. Well, here, let's just have some coffee. And then she like makes you some coffee, and then you kind of talk about life and like where he's going with his life. And then she ends up tagging along with you, but unbeknownst to you as the main character, you go to like the next town over, and you go to the cave there, and then you find her in the caves, and she's like in trouble, and you're like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, we are 2 caves away from the main town, we're at a brand new town, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm coming along too. Like, that's what's happening. And like, you kind of see that in video games, but just that lead up, and you understand her motivations for coming with you, then she travels with you through like nearly the half of the game, and then suddenly when you get a love interest that isn't her, you know, because she's the unrequited love interest, she accepts that in such a bitter way, and in such a real way, where it's like, this isn't a happy story for her. This isn't her story. This isn't great for her. And she's just kind of accepting reality, and she's sad. And she even disappears from the game. Like, she leaves, you don't have a goodbye scene with her. It just feels so much like real life, where it's like, you know, sometimes people in life, when they have like a traumatic experience, or they've been falling out with a friend or a family member or loved one or whatever, you are like, well, I just need closure. And the tough story about life is that there is so infrequently closure. You don't always end on good terms. You don't always end on like, well, you know, we need to put a period on this sentence. Most sentences don't end with a period in life. And I think that was my first real like sit down with a video game where it taught me that kind of lesson. And like, she disappeared from the video game. I remember playing the game and like going to all of the towns, looking everywhere for her, just because I was like, what happened to her? I want to see her. Like, I feel bad. Like, how is she doing? And she's not even back in her house. Like, somebody else is still taking over her shop. Her house is a shop. And you see her, I think, once later on, late in the game, through some sort of story thing, or maybe it's the ending. I don't remember exactly. Maybe it was the epilogue. But just that part alone, where it's like you couldn't go back and you couldn't see her, that also was just like, you know, there isn't always closure, and there isn't always a happy story. And little things things like that, you know, like, man, storytelling is great. Video games are great. Books are great.
No, absolutely.
Experience art, everyone. Galen, how about you?
Man, there are a lot of different kind of ways that video games have affected me and kind of shaped who I am.
How embarrassing.
One of the ones that really comes to mind is
Destiny.
Exactly. My experience with the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And I say the franchise as a whole because there's a lot that kind of went in with that. I started playing it fairly soon when the franchise really started to like kick up. And we talking about like the PlayStation 1, PS2, so on and so forth. I've even gone on record to say that, you know, Metal Gear Solid 4 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Specifically because I had been such a fan of the series leading up to that point. And the way that they write the fourth game specifically, it deals so heavily with the aspect of legacy. What are you bringing on? What happens if you can't pass something on? How do you come to terms and accept that? What does it mean when you've fulfilled your own purpose and now you have to go and live the rest of your life? Like, those are a lot of analogies that were related to these characters that I had grown to actually, you know, have emotional connections to and understand who they are as characters. So I was invested in it, and being able to subsequently live those experiences through those characters is something that I will never forget. Another game is the Last of Us series.
Oh, really?
Well,
that's just very soon. Or
having your spoiler for the beginning of the game, I guess, but having your daughter die at the beginning of the outbreak that happens, and then finding you this broken character and playing as this broken character who has to escort somebody who is immune, and finding the character relating with what he lost and the surrogate daughter that he is now adopting in a way, and having to find out at the end of the game that, yeah, if you give up this person, then you're not going to be able to see this person anymore, and the, you know, the greater good versus the greater self conflict that actually happens here. But also learning the lessons of sometimes you don't make the self-sacrificial choice because it's not going in the right direction.
And not making the self-sacrificial choice is a lesson that you have definitely needed to learn in your life, Galen, just knowing you your entire time.
I usually put a lot more in front of it before me.
Yes.
So but yeah, there's a lot of different lessons that can only be expressed so strongly through video games because it allows you to break past that barrier of the written word into reaction to your actions.
You mean your emotions?
And
your emotions.
No, it's just like the choices that you make in a game
or
in a story, and then seeing the outcome of that. It's a simulator. It's being able to make different choices that you normally wouldn't take.
Oh, okay, yeah. It allows you to roleplay.
Exactly. But it does it in a safe space where you can still see the consequences of that action, but it's not such a detrimental consequence that you won't be able to learn a lesson from.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is what is so passionately enticing about video games.
Passionately enticing.
Yeah. Those are words.
Leonard, thank you so much for this email.
Thank you very, very much, Leonard. This was an excellent email.
And our lovely listeners can also put in questions on our Discord. Did you know that we have a little channel on our Discord for questions? So you can either send us an email to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com or write in our Discord. Just like
Cosmic Spooks.
Cosmic Spooks. Oh my god, this is the third time we brought them up on the show.
So, Cosmic Spooks left us a message asking, here's a weirdly specific thing for you guys to answer or not. Are there any vanity cards / production logos that you love or which have just ingrained themselves into you? You know, all that junk that plays before you can get to the actual title screen. For example, the classic EA Sports, it's in the game. Or the vaguely ominous Valve head logos. More generally, where do you stand on production logos before games? You want them simple, wild? How many is the limit before it's quote-unquote too many? That is incredibly important and serious stuff here.
This is incredibly important. Brill.
If you were to ask me, I can't really think of any logos that, like, I am linked to in one particular way.
I thought you were going to say that peek out at you.
There's certain sound effects which kind of chime for me. The classic...
Just you make them up on the spot.
Sound effect, chime. It made sense in my
brain.
There's
certain sound effects that I'll get right behind.
The Game Boy turning on sound. And just that bling.
Oh, okay.
The classic, Sega that happens.
Sega!
But they have to be short. They have to be very sweet. No more than 2. Like, there are some games where it's like, here's 6 different logos before you get to the game proper. And yeah, it's too much. I get you're probably trying to get the rest of the game to load at this point, but come on, let's get to it.
So I'm of two minds about that because, I mean, especially being a translator, I want my name in the video games that I'm translating. I do not want my name to not appear. I do not want nobody to get credit for these things. So if this used a proprietary software, if this used whatever porting company, whoever developed the game, published it, blah, 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 I want all that shit in the very beginning of the game as it's loading up to give proper credits. I also would like my video game to start, please. So I'm of two minds about that. I really, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
However, I do have a lot of different openings which chime out at me. Of course, classic Nintendo one during the Super Nintendo that was just the little coin sound from Super Mario World.
Yeah.
That was always just in my brain. Loved it.
Well, that was a good sound effect.
Yeah, it's a great sound effect.
No, I say you did a good sound effect.
I know. So good. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up in your compliment. I forgot what I was talking about.
You are the Jenna of the video game world. I'm just telling you.
Just certain sound effects, you associate it with a certain video game, and when you associate it with a video game when you're younger, like maybe that's like your downtime when you get to play a video game, or like you went to the store and you rented a game, you came back, and it's just like the height of excitement,
Yeah.
I really love the Super Nintendo Capcom logo. The
oh yeah.
And then like Capcom actually had a really long streak
of all the episodes for you not to do sound effects for. Like, this would have been the one.
Sure,
like,
but
you
guess
just play
what?
him in the background.
Bitch, I'm busy. I'm so busy this weekend. Okay, I'm catching up. Capcom had a lot of really great sound effects because after they retired that one, and then on the PlayStation 1, they did this CG opening where it was a whole bunch of blocks getting shot with like lasers, and then it turned into the Capcom logo, and it was like Capcom. Remember that? For like
no,
it makes me think of Mega Man Legends,
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about it.
So that's part of the magic of logos, is that you associate it with that.
Yeah.
Another one that isn't a sound though, that I really like is Square, and I think that they did it also for Squaresoft, where it would morph from one word to another, and the A would be that like very classic mid 90s, late 90s A that had like a red color in it, and it wasn't like an A that was completely closed. But I just liked the little morph that it did. There was a lot of games, I think, on the Super Nintendo that did that morphing from one word to another. It just kind of was in vogue at the time.
I wonder if it was also a product of the time, just like wanting to have that memorable startup, or if it was just as a younger person around that time, we paid more attention to that kind of thing, and it was more impactful to us as a post-childhood nostalgic value.
Yeah, and also like right now, I think you're seeing more logos, and fewer of them have sounds in them. They're less of a video file, and they're just like an image that pops up, it fades in, fades out. And also nowadays, compared to 1993, you turn on your video game system. While it's loading up, you're checking your phone, you're listening to some music. You know what I mean?
That's 100% a thing.
It's the complete overexposure to technology. It's the constant, like, you have to be doing something with your time. You have to be efficient. This crazy, I don't know, like, negative effect of society where it's like, okay, what are you doing? How are you accomplishing things? How are you being productive? And how are you monetizing your hobbies? Like, that's another gross one. Instead of just being present and just enjoying it. Because guess what? We're all... Okay, here we go with the podcast. We're all gonna die. And eventually, what you did didn't matter too much, Can leave an impact on the world, sure. But, like, be present in the moment. Enjoy your video games.
This is the Nihilism Everything podcast.
That's fine. The N in NEP stands for nihilism. Is it nihilism or is it nihilism?
Nihilism.
Okay. But I do have some English inflection in my voice, which we discussed last week. But do you not remember before when we were talking about something and I said clandestine, and you were like, what? And I was like, clandestine? And you were like, clandestined?
I don't remember this, but it does sound like a conversation that you and I would have.
I always remember language-related questions. I was sure that clandestine was the pronunciation for the word. And you were like, no one says that here. It's the same thing with washroom. I didn't realize that in America we don't say washroom at all until I was in my 20s at least. That's just what we've always said in my house, I guess.
Oh, like it's the washroom's down the hall to the left.
Right. Yeah. We like in America they say like bathroom, but like in British English and then even in
even though they very rarely have an actual bath.
That was always my rationale when I was younger. But even in Canada, they say washroom as well. So, like, I don't know where I got it from, but, like, I don't know. What were we talking about?
Logos.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Cosmic Spooks.
Thank you very much, Cosmic Spooks.
Also, big shout outs to the Sony logos. Those are good. The like the THX kind of thing.
A good one that I just thought of. Beginning of Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, the Bethesda Doom.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, that one really sticks with me. Like, if I ever am thinking about Skyrim, that is specifically the sound effect that like plays in my head.
Yeah, totally. Oh, okay, this is not. This maybe this is the video game's title screen. The Bouncer.
The Bowser.
That one always just, I'll never forget it. And similarly, there was a game on the PlayStation that I don't think that you played, but I played. Maybe we played it together at some point, called Airguys. Airgites?
Oh, yeah. No, the Final Fantasy fighting game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
The menu screen, which was just like 4 panels. Whenever you moved from menu to menu, it was like blown out, clipping the audio every time that you moved your cursor. It was like somebody shaking you awake. It was so upsetting.
I will be completely honest. I remember very little from that game other than the fact that I played it. And it's one of those games where you look back at it now. It was like I played Air Guys way before I played Final Fantasy anything.
Okay.
So I had no idea who these characters were. I had no idea what the setting was. I just thought it was cool that I could run around in a dungeon as a character that I created. And everybody had big swords. It was just like I played Dragon Ball GT Final Bout for the original PlayStation before I had ever watched an episode of Dragon Ball. So I had no idea who any of these characters were.
How embarrassing. Yeah, man, Air Guides was like such a fever dream of a game. Like, that's exactly the kinds of games that don't get made anymore just because, like, they have to be big, gigantic AAA, billion-dollar budget nonsense games. And it's just like...
because they have to make that $1 billion back, so...
It's just like, that's why I love No More Heroes, is because it's like lower budget, super creative. These are the kinds of games that are dying out.
Yeah.
Cosmic Spooks, thank you so much. Great question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We got lots of other questions to answer. We will get to them in due time. Please keep them coming on our podcast Discord or at our Gmail. Come on. Just like Teddy Bogado. Okay, this is a long episode. Thank God I don't have to edit it. Galen, what's the thing I play right before this very ending part? Do you remember? You did it.
I'm a tired.
Yes! It is that. Did you just guess?
No, I knew that one. Because you're often very tired at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's why I put it in. I'm trying to read your poker face, and I'm trying to see if like you're actually lying. Galen is doing like the small child sex eyebrows right now, and I'm not into it.
What the hell does that mean?
There's this particular GIF. It's like a 8-year-old ginger.
I know what you're talking
at
about.
a baseball game. That's what you look like.
But before you talk yourself into more of a corner, what's coming up? What's coming out?
On NintendoEverything.com, translations, reviews, previews, 24/7 news, nonstop on our website. You can also stay connected to us on our Twitter at NinEverything. And also, sorry, sometimes the soul is about to escape and I have to keep it back in there. Also, we've got the YouTube, youtube.com/NinEverything. And I have a Twitter. It's at Oni_Dino. And Galen.
I also have a Twitter at Mobius087. Or if you want to, just go ahead and join our Discord and, yeah, shoot me a message.
Galen, who's your favorite character from the Metroid series?
Probably Metroid.
Good one.
Oh, Oni, it is Halloween. What are you going to dress up as a Halloween costume?
Oh, probably just like a really pathetic 35-year-old gay guy.
You have an amazing costume on right now, then.
It's been a week since I've showered.
That checks out. I actually showered myself. I have I straightened my beard out, so I'm feeling particularly primed right now.
Who's the gay one here? Find out next week on Nintendo Everything. Stay for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to see if he comes up with a better segue out of here.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and also stay tuned to Nintendo, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.